The best lawyers aren't found in the big law firms. They're found in the stories of those who left.
Hello, listeners and viewers of the Self-Employed Lawyers League podcast, The Cell Life. I've got an interesting guest today, not a lawyer inside the league, but someone who we're working with because they have a ridiculously cool tool. According to our founding member, Dickie Abraham, he said it's made his life infinitely better. But I've got the founder of AI Legal Assistant, Sam Junghenn, on the call today. Sam, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on the pod.
My pleasure. And the interesting question I ask anyone, all lawyers growing up, when you were a young fella, say 10 years old, did you always think I'm going to grow up and build an AI robot for lawyers, or was there other things on your mind at that time?
Good question. Definitely wasn't on my mind. I mean, AI probably was not a thing. I'd probably date myself if I told you when I was 10, so I won't do that. But no, look, I grew up on farms actually as a kid. And my parents had always been entrepreneurs, and their parents were always entrepreneurs. But yeah, I grew up in small rural farms, northwest, and then northeast Victoria.
Oh.
So probably about 10 years old, more riding motorbikes and doing all that sort of stuff. And then actually had my first business, or attempted a business, when I was 12 years old, saved up my pocket money from child slave labor on the farm, and bought 30 chickens, and then would try to sell the eggs to local families or local restaurants.
Yeah.
And that was all good to a point where the foxes started picking off the chickens. And so slowly I saw my golden goose, so to say, dwindling down until there was no more. So that was my sort of first foray into business. And then about 17, somehow managed to convince the local bank to give me a credit card for $5,000 with no security and no income, and started an importing business, importing snowboards and ski equipment from New Zealand into Australia, a brand that wasn't here then. And going around and figuring out how to make it cool and trendy and sell it to people. Snowboards were still quite early in the piece, in about 97. So it wasn't as much of a thing as it is today. But yeah, and then just had various different businesses over the years. And some people say, oh, you must be a lawyer if you started an AI legal tech business. Absolutely not. It's just I'm a big nerd. Been in tech for the last 17, 18 years. Started dabbling with AI in about 2017 when it was really expensive and not that useful. Just had an exit from another few years ago, and thought, well, what's the next big mountain to climb? Where can we go solve some big problems for people?
And so everyone knows, we haven't met, but your story. So when I was 12, I started selling ice cold soft drinks at the beach, saved up my pennies to do that. When I just turned 18, I convinced the bank to give me a loan to open a cafe and sell loose leaf tea online. So I was like, when I was hearing it, I was like, what the hell? And I grew up in regional Queensland on not a farming property, but an acreage. So an uncanny sort of similarity. I'm a little bit younger, but I was like I was like, what the hell? This is like hearing my own story. Very cool.
Yeah, right.
And so, yeah, in the tech world. So did you just see, when was it that AI Legal Assistant, like, I guess the idea, the genesis of that for you, and was it you were just sort of looking around which industries have a problem? And because in my view, entrepreneurs basically, the curse of an entrepreneur is endless opportunity, but the best ones see a problem and go, I'm going to just tackle that problem and face all the consequences of figuring out effectively how to monetize it, how to get a product and do it. Is that what you just sort of looked around and said, what's the next big problem to take on?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I started working with generative AI in 2020 before, ChatGPT and all that sort of stuff became a thing. Predominantly, we were using it more for marketing type stuff because it wasn't really that useful for many other applications. And it was nowhere near as good as it is today. but it was still useful to the point. Like, for example, writing a blog post, to be able to get words on a page and things out of your head, it was much faster than it is now. But you'd have to do a lot more editing and iterations to kind of get it to something that's useful. So that was back in, almost 6 years ago now. And then ChatGPT, kind of still working with that technology, always in the technology space, just seeing it sort of evolve. And then the explosion of ChatGPT in end of 2022. I had an exit from another business and going, all right, well, what am I going to do next? What's that next big mountain to climb? And what can we solve with this? And a lot of people think that lawyers are experts in law, but really they're experts in language. So you've got large language models becoming better at language and understanding and meaning and all that sort of stuff. And you've got this big cohort of people who are in this industry that's 1,000 years old, and it hasn't had that many, major step changes. Like, you've gone from, quill and ink to, to typewriter eventually, and then from typewriter to computer. And then we obviously got the internet, and that helped progress things a bit. But AI is like an exponential jump on top of any of those sort of things. So going, right, well, there's obviously a lot of big issues in the industry. I don't need to tell you all of those, because I'm sure you and all your listeners know what they are. But AI really helps to solve a lot of those issues. And so the vision from day one was, how do we build an app that is easy to use, but solves problems for every area of law and every seniority? I know that sounds a bit big and grandiose, but you talk to a firm, like, not talking so much about the solos, but you talk about a bigger firm, even your 20s to 50s, and you say, do you guys like paying for 10 different software subscriptions to the partners? And they'll be like, absolutely not. And then you talk to the staff, do you like copy and pasting and, putting things between different systems that kind of do a little bit of what you? Absolutely not. So the whole vision has been, how do we create essentially a one-page app that will solve the vast majority of problems in the one workspace. And we're not there yet. We're not perfect, but I think we're a long way down that path towards that vision.
And so when was it? So January, I'm just looking on your LinkedIn, January 2023. So right when ChatGPT sort of, I guess the world knew about LLMs, and suddenly this vernacular became mainstream. So it's been 3 years. What was the first iteration of it?
The first iteration, we started focusing on contract review, or document review rather. And yeah, really focusing on solving that, bringing everything to the surface that people should know that's in contracts. And then we've sort of evolved from there across, the research component. So we plug into all sorts of case law and legislation across Australia and New Zealand. We don't tap into databases like Thomson Reuters, LexisNexis, those deep, kind of big, expensive databases. But you think about us, our research module at least, between a Google or a Bing search on one end of the spectrum, then your Thomson Reuters, LexisNexis deep databases down the other end, we sit squarely in the middle. So we solve probably 80% of what people would normally want to research. You can do through the platform. So that's another module. You've got the review module, the research module, and then we've kind of expanded. Drafting is obviously a big one. So you can draft straight into the document in the editor. And I feel like I'm forgetting another sort of major module, chronologies, right? So chronologies is a big one. Being able to upload, 500, 1,000 documents with 10,000 pages, click a button, and, go away, have lunch, get a coffee, whatever it might be, come back and you've got, a few thousand-page chronology there. That is really game changing. If you think about the manual hours or even weeks in that chronology example that sort of stuff takes.
Yeah, well, that was because I remember when I was a law clerk, chronology, I actually enjoyed them because chronology reveals the truth of any matter. Doesn't matter, both sides will say whatever, but chronology, particularly financial statements, reveal if what you say lines up with what actually happened. And yeah, but it would take like days. A junior would be getting paid getting billed a few $100s an hour to create a chronology. So then the partner could look through the chronology and make the decision. That's where I've seen. And for people at the more senior level, they're like, it's doing what a 1 to sometimes a 3-year lawyer can do, particularly AI legal system. That's what a few people have told me. Was the intention, I guess, when you started it, did you think, because anything with AI is the fear is robots going to replace humans? Somewhat. I mean, that is the intention, but humans can do a different job. But did you guys like have a map, or have you seen the data of how much time this does save a firm or a practitioner to potentially not have to employ someone full-time to do those jobs that were full-time jobs before?
Yeah, interesting question. We've, over our journey, and I mean, it's only been sort of 3 years, but 3 years in AI land is probably equivalent to 10 to 15 years in normal people land. So, I mean, to start off with, there were incremental gains, but it's just going more and more exponential. We're to the point now, so I still do coaching calls with a lot of our clients to keep my finger on the pulse. We have dedicated coaches to help our clients, but I still do it because I like to see what people are struggling with day to day, in their normal workflows in practice, that then we can go build something that essentially becomes a one-button click, and it will do that piece of work. And it's not uncommon on those coaching calls, so they're all 1-hour calls. If the clients turn up with their documents prepared, and they go, look, this is what I need to do. I need to do a review, or I need to create a statement of claim, or I need to, whatever it might be. It's not uncommon for us to complete anywhere from 4 to 6 hours work within a 1-hour coaching call. We've gone well and truly past the incremental gains sort of aspect of it. And you mentioned, it's kind of like a 1 to 3rd year lawyer. We, one of our modules, so our chat module, who we call Amelia, is really equivalent to a senior associate now in terms of the quality and depth and breadth of what it can do. And I know that sounds pretty far-fetched, but a lot of our clients will agree that that's it. The difference, though, is that a lot of people don't know how to work with the technology. And this is one of the biggest challenges with the industry. So as an example, someone once said to me, it didn't give me a very good response. I said, all right, well, break it down for me. Walk me through it. What did you ask for? And they said, I just said, give me a summary. That was literally their command. Give me a summary.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, you think about the definition of summary. Definition of a summary is broad brush strokes, white vanilla, like overview. And they're like, yeah, but it didn't give me these things. It should have cross-referenced this. I wanted citations for this other thing, and I wanted a comparison table. It's like, well, you didn't ask for any of that stuff.
I was going to say, why don't you just ask for that? Yeah.
And I know it sounds really trite and almost offensive saying that, but
no,
it's like we've all been on that journey, me included. When I first started working with the technology, you'd ask like really short things and not have clarity of doing that. But if you think about working, this is like a key tip to anyone that starts with working with AI technology, whether it's ours or someone else's, is treat it like a junior, even though it's capable of doing much more. So treat it like a first year. So for a first year, you wouldn't go and say, give me a summary and give them a document. And then that's the brief to the junior, right? You wouldn't do that. Well, if you do, you're going to end up with something that's probably completely off point of what you were thinking about. You would give them, hey, can you go do this, then do this, extract this stuff, draft this up, and whatever. And that's the summary. Like, that's your brief for the summary, right? So when communicating with the AI, you can do that and you will get better results. One of the sort of inventions that we created that we haven't seen anyone rip us off yet, but I'm sure it will come, is we created our AI compass to go alongside Amelia, the chat, because compass is really like a project manager to go and manage the stuff for you. So then what happens is the lawyer is not they can still directly interface with the chat, but they're interfacing with a project manager chat. And so they could quite literally upload all of their documents and say to the compass, I don't know where to start with these documents. Compass reads all the documents and says, hey, who are you representing? What are you trying to achieve here? What stage of the matter you're at? And then they answer a couple of questions. It'll go, you know what? I think we should do this, 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 and this.
Yep.
And give you a list of what it thinks would be the best strategy to achieve the outcome. And you say, yeah, go ahead. It then delegates the tasks to Amelia to go and execute on the work. And that's where we get the senior associate level quality work out of that, is by having another AI. It's like an AI that manages the AI. And it sounds kind of ironic that, you know, AI is meant to replace humans and all these sort of buzzwords that people say, which is not true. But it's an AI essentially to manage the AI. So even if you're just getting started, you can get senior associate level quality work out of it in, you know, very short period of time.
And that's so exciting, because because we are called the Self-Employed Lawyers League. What we're trying to do is inspire the best lawyers, because what I saw coming into the industry, and I think you would have as well, because when you come from completely outside the industry, you come with a complete fresh set of eyes, and you can sort of see things like, why do things happen like this? And I saw, like, why don't senior associates go out? And in a big firm, you've got those layers where effectively a partner can give the direction to the senior associate, who then gets the juniors to sort of make sure when the junior gets the message, it's actually a message they know what to do with. And it's the same to me, as you were talking about. I was like, this is actually how to prompt AI is going to teach people how to lead. Because if you want to lead and you just tell someone, give me a summary, if that someone is a very experienced, you know, your right-hand person who, when you say, give me a summary, they've been working with you 10 years, they know what summary means. They've got the vernacular. They know when Sam wants it, he wants it in this format. But if you say that to someone new, to me, that's a bad leader. And I go, what AI I see doing is, and the way you're explaining it, I'm like, it's allowing, well, Dickie's the prime example, our founding member in the league who's been using it. He's able to build a firm far quicker than anyone could have in the past, because he knows like the processes he wants to do. And once he teaches it, as he said, you've got a project manager, okay, draft this claim, do this. It's kind of amazing to see how firms are going to evolve. And that's what my vision for solo lawyers is, with the right tech stack, with things like this, you can build a sizable firm now with effectively just you. Like, you can take on a lot more work because there's efficiency gains, or it's up to you how they want to do it, if they want more of a lifestyle. But that can only be a positive direction for the industry.
Absolutely. And we're really seeing this like at a, you know, the interesting thing is that I think people don't consider or underestimate is we have visibility across hundreds of firms about how they're rolling this out. I don't mean what buttons are they pressing in their private data. We don't have access to see any of that, but it's working on the coaching aspect and seeing them roll it out. And what I can say for sure is the big firms are really, really struggling in rolling out AI. Some of them we've been talking to for like about a year and a half, and they're still at day one. They're going, well, we're going to have a meeting about a meeting, and then we'll schedule the time to have a meeting about what we're going to do with AI. They are really struggling to get out of the starting gate. Some of them just go, hey, IT guy, it's an IT thing, go and deal with it. It's not an IT thing. It is an IT thing, but it's not an IT thing. What it is, it's a strategic business decision. Because it's obviously completely disrupting the billing models. You know, we ran a CPD session a few weeks ago in Adelaide, and I said, put your hand up if you've figured out your post-AI era billing model. No one put their hand up. And I was confused. I thought, I said, did you guys hear what I said? I said, has anyone, and everyone's like, yeah, we heard you. We have no idea. We have no idea what to do with our billing model. And speaking about Dickie, I know he's got, in being in commercial litigation, he's got his stepped, or I can't remember what he calls it exactly, but the
value-based pricing. It's a hybrid of fixed fee and, well, it's not time-based at all. It's value-based pricing. So clients have clarity, and you know this as a business owner. And this is what, when I came into the industry and I saw the billable minute, and I saw the work that would be produced for business owners, I was like, I would not pay for this as a business owner, because I came into law late, and I was like, how do people? It's just been because they got away with it for so long, and I I told the partners and that, and Dickie's the one who appreciated it, and he knew, and so he set his business up in that way. I said, the business owner just comes to you to solve the problem in the most cost efficient way possible, and if you can solve it in a couple of hours, but it's still worth a significant amount of money, they'll still pay that. So do like value based. How much is it to solve the problem, not how much time do you spend thinking about how to solve the problem. And yeah, so he's doing value based, and I think that the way he's doing it is going to be a way that more lawyers, and I know a lot of lawyers inside the league are taking his lead and going, oh, this is a new way to do it.
Absolutely. And I guess for context, for anyone that doesn't know Dickie personally, is he's doing commercial litigation. He's not doing commercial transaction work, which is easier to fix fee. He's doing the litigation, which most people that I speak to are absolutely terrified about. The thing that AI helps with when it comes to litigation specifically is, let's say you go, well, this matter, it could go here, it could go there, but I'm going to quote 50 hours for it. The risk to the practitioner is, well, it takes a turn that you weren't expecting, it blows out to be 100 hours. The thing that AI does is, and this is to talk through, I guess, not specifically Dickie's example, but an example kind of like that. You still quote the 50 hours, and if you're fixed feeing that 50 hours in a litigation matter, instead of you spending actually 50 hours, you might have spent 15, right? And being able to produce the same quality of what is required to represent the client well. So imagine then that you have a blowout that would have been another 50 hours, right? Because the case has taken a different turn, more evidence has come to light, whatever it might be. That next 50 hours, you can still time block it to quote it up front, but then even if you haven't, right? Even if you're only assuming the first 50 hours, what happens is the second 50 hours is not taking you 50 human hours of time to do that. It might have taken you another 15 hours. So then you've really reduced your risk in terms of taking on the client. You can fix fee the work. I'm probably not telling you anything that you don't already know. It's like you fix fee the work, client's going, great, I know what I'm up for, let's go ahead. As opposed to, I kind of trust this lawyer, but they're giving me this big black well to look into and I can't see the bottom of it, and I don't know how much money I'm going to be throwing in this well. So it just becomes a win-win for everyone. You've mitigated your risk as a practitioner because you're able to get through the matter significantly faster. And this is the other thing is, I guess when it comes to hiring and thinking about hiring your first employee, having AI essentially as your first employee, one, it's significantly cheaper, but two, it helps flatten out the peaks and troughs over the year. So if you take on your first employee and you go, look, I'm getting a bit busy, I'm starting to knock back work, I'm losing business because I'm knocking back work, I'm going to hire someone. You now got an obligation there to pay someone whether you're busy or not. You might find that you hire someone and 2 months later you're quiet and the phone's not ringing. With AI, it can scale up and down with you based on usage, and it can flatten off those peaks. We see this particularly for in-house lawyers, where they don't have the resources. They're going to the company, hey, we've only got 4 lawyers in the company, we're just getting slammed, and they're like, no, we don't have it in our budget. But AI will help flatten those peaks for them really quickly and effectively so they can get through the work, and then when they're quieter, they don't have the overhead sitting there. So that was a long answer to a short question.
But, no, but it's an important one. And I think what you touched on, the bigger firms, that's what I saw. There's a famous Charlie Munger quote, show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. And the incentive in a billable hour, I don't care what anyone says about how honest they are or anything. The more you bill, the more time you spend on it, the more you can charge the client. And unless you're Mother Teresa, and no one in business is Mother Teresa because it's a for-profit business, the subconscious says if I take a little longer, I get a little more. And so I've been anti it and more vocal about it as I got in, but I realized, particularly the largest, like the really, really big firms, the partners at the top of there, the reason I think they're reluctant to adopt AI is because they don't know, all those people in the room you said last week, those partners don't know our billables might go from 1.2 this year down to 750. And how do we replace it? Now, in my mind, I go, and this is where we're helping the solos and the boutiques scale, because I see such an opportunity in the next 3 to 5 years to take market share. There is a massive market beneath the top tier stuff of small to medium businesses who don't use lawyers because they can't afford it. But if legal advice became more affordable, there's a whole sort of new array of legal services out there that people will engage a lawyer if it's more cost effective and they have some certainty on, I'm not looking into the abyss of how many hours will this take? I don't know. Let's just start the fight and see what happens, mate. A lot more businesses will come on board. And I see that as a plus because unfortunately, and you've been an entrepreneur, in the first 10 years, most businesses fail. It's just a statistical, the ATO says an ACM starts within 10 years, it won't exist. Like 90, it's a huge percentage. And for me, I can see it's because if a business doesn't have good advice or good advisors early on, they will make mistakes and a bigger company will inevitably sue them or destroy them. But if they could afford good advice early, so for me, that's what I'm excited and love talking to you about this stuff because it can have such a big flow on effect if people just aren't afraid of it's going to take my job, it's going to take my job.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's just address that whole it's going to take my job. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say that it won't take a lawyer's job at some point, but guess what? It's going to take everyone's job if that's what happens, right? It's not poor lawyers, their jobs were taken and nothing else. We're talking about worldwide, every job is replaced, right? If we reach that point where AI is replacing lawyers, it's replacing everyone. So I'm not saying that is going to be the case. I'm not saying it's not going to be the case. It's still very early on the piece to determine that. What I can categorically say, though, is humans that are using AI are replacing people that are not, whether you're starting to see it or not. Think about it this way. Before we had Microsoft Word, right? You'd type stuff out in an email or whatever. But then Word came along and the quality of what lawyers could do and the speed at which they could do it increased. Today, you will not get hired if you do not have Microsoft Word skills, at least basic skills, right? It's just like, it's like if you don't breathe, you don't live. You don't have Microsoft Word skills, you don't get hired. The same thing will happen for AI skills over the next 12 months to 36 months. There will be certifications that you have to have before you're employable. And I know we're not talking to people who are looking to go, work for someone else, but what I'm saying overall and why it's important is the foundations of what's happening are significantly shifting. The playing field is also becoming a lot flatter. We're seeing solos that are saying to me in coaching sessions, it's like I've got a full service large law firm behind me now as a solo practitioner, and it means I can, fight a good fight if it's a litigation thing, or you've received a contract from the other side and they've got some top tier firm that's drafted this, monstrosity and then sent it to you, but you can now manage that with ease. You might have a small business on your side. They might have a big blue chip corporate on the other side and backed by a top tier firm. It's not fair, right? You've got a limited budget to be able to work on that document, but with AI, it allows you to even that out very quickly. So I think as a flow-on effect from this, you've got the ability, this is how we see it roll out typically, 3 different buckets. You've got the people who use AI who want to make more money, no shame in that. They're, as a solo, we know solos struggle and sometimes they're only doing sort of 2 to 3 hours billable per day compared to the larger ones. So if you're fixed feeing, you can make obviously more profit in the time that you work if you're fixed feeing things. Like I say, no shame in that. You've got the ones that will charge the same amount, but they'll spend more time with the client. So you think about this from a client perspective. You've got a relatively small budget, sort of small business client, and you go, all right, well, I'm going to charge them 10 hours for this thing. I'm only going to spend the minimal time I can face-to-face with the client so that I can actually do the work behind the scenes and deliver value. Client's going, haven't had much human touch. They send 15 emails to you, hey, where's it up to? But what the second group are doing is they're spending, let's say they charge that same 10 hours. Behind the scenes, they're now spending 3 hours instead of 9 to actually complete the work, which frees up a lot of time for them to communicate better with the client, spend more time with the client. Client feels loved. What does the client do? Sends more referrals.
Yep.
Right. So the third bucket I've completely forgotten off the top of my head. We've got the ones that are making, the ones that are spending more time with the client. The ones that are taking more time off. So they're not making more money. They're not spending more time with the client. They're offering the same product. They're doing it faster.
Yep.
They're spending time with their family.
I was going to say they're taking a Swedish work week, a 4-day work week.
Yeah. Or working 6 days instead of 7 now.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, we're like these are real conversations that we're having all the time with clients where they're saying, you know, I'm a mum, I'm not now putting my kids to bed and then I'm going back to the computer at 8 or 9 o'clock at night to do another couple hours work so that I can meet my income target. They're like, I finish at 4 or 5 o'clock, spend time with the kids, go to bed like a normal human being. So
and that's
they're kind of
like the people we talk to. That's what those two buckets you said, the lifestyle and the thing. That's what we like. That's why we're called Sell, is to teach them the human skills, because that's what I have told anyone. And I realized as AI comes and starts replacing more and more tasks, because that's what I say, it replaces a task, it's not a human. And if a task can be automated, I'm sorry, but if you didn't want a horse to drag your buggy and then you didn't want a car to do that, unfortunately, we could all be still in the caves and we didn't progress at all. And if that's the lifestyle you want, fair enough. But otherwise, if a task can be completed more quickly, shouldn't we have more time human to human? That's what I told the lawyers. That's the one thing clients missed. When I did business development for law firms, I was very liked because I was just willing to spend the time. I wasn't on a billable clock. So I'll get to know the client. I'll get to know a little bit more about them. And that's what we love teaching the lawyers. And that's, for me, when I saw this happening, you know that old quote, when there's a gold rush, sell the shovels. I realized I don't have the tech brain. I can't do the tech. I wouldn't be able to figure it out like you guys have. But the one skill I know lawyers don't get taught is selling. So if I can teach them that skill combined with the sort of tech you guys combine, I go, we can create the next generation of law firms who, I'm in the industry and I am a lawyer, but lawyers aren't well respected. Like and there's a reason, because I think over the last 30 or 40 years, they've taken the mickey a little bit with the billable hours and everything. And I think there's a big shift happening of generationally millennials and Gen X millennials and Gen Zs coming through who are going to practice law differently with, like you said, HR will kind of be the tech stack, and you'll need someone who can say, hey, what tech do we bring in to do this task or this job? And people will build a big firm with maybe only a handful of lawyers or one lawyer and good admin.
Yeah, absolutely. And those, AI first firms, if you think about it that way, and I strongly recommend anyone who's listening to this really think about their practice from an AI first perspective. Now, I know, sure, I've got some bias. I own an AI company. I don't care if you come with us or someone else. What I am saying absolutely categorically is that the technology has reached a point where it is really useful. It is very good, to the point where we have partners going, wow, I can't believe it. It just did what I do, except better. Like that's literally a quote from a partner who was skeptical about what we do. What I'm saying here, though, is we've reached a point where globally now, the highest IQ of AI is 130. The average IQ of a lawyer is 110. Now, I'm not saying AI is smarter than lawyers and it's going to replace them and replace their judgment. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is we are well and truly past the point where AI just generates a slab of text for you and passes it on. But thinking about their practice as an AI first, just as Dickie is, right? He's thinking technology, AI first. Even if you're not tech savvy, your life will be so much better in 3-5 years from now if you think like this, rather than thinking about, well, this is the way that it's always been done. Really challenge yourself to think about, how do I make how do I use more AI in the process of what I'm doing in my practice, whether it be marketing, whether it be sales, whether it be, drafting emails or cost agreements or whatever. Your life will be so much better, because it's not just where the technology is today. Like, some people go, "I'll point in time, AI hallucinates, I'll never use AI." Our AI used to hallucinate heaps, but over the last 3 months, we've improved it by about tenfold in terms of accuracy.
Yeah.
So I don't say that to gloat. I say that to illustrate the point of how fast the technology is moving. So what will happen next year? This is letting the cat out of the bag a little bit, but imagine if you didn't need to talk to the pesky clients, the ones that are not really qualified. They don't necessarily come through a quality referral, but maybe they just come through the website, and you can't really help them. But you need to spend an hour, hour and a half with them to find out that they're not going to be a good client, or that you can't help them. You'll be able to have the client go through the website, talk to your AI, just like we're having a conversation now. They won't know the difference. They upload all their documents. You come in the morning, the AI has already taken all of their documents and their brief, figured out what they want, done the work for you, and it's sitting there waiting for your sign off. That's where we're heading.
Yeah, wow.
So when I think about thinking about like AI first,
it's an important I guess it's a new mental model for people to shift to. Because we do obviously coaching, business development coaching, and in the productivity side, I tell people for 1 week, it takes a lot of effort, but for 1 week, every task you do, is it admin, is it actual billable, is it business development, or is it life? And actually just cell by cell, every 20 minutes, what tasks did you do? 1, it highlights how much you get distracted by social media and other things. But 2, then I say, okay, now we've got the list and you saw what you did. Can any of those tasks be automated, AI'd, or delegated? And that's why when you were saying that, it's like, yeah, that's kind of the mental model to go, because if it can, do it. Because if you don't, someone else will, and they'll be more efficient. And therefore, again, they'll offer a lower price because they can do it in an hour that takes you 4 because you haven't delegated. So it is a huge mental shift though, to go, because it's so easy to feel busy. And I mean, I'm still guilty of it. Courtney calls me out all the time. She's like, "Are you being busy or productive?" And I'm like, "Yeah, true." Because it's like, what's the goal here? Like, the goal is help more lawyers become self-employed. Is you doing this helping more lawyers become self-employed? And I like that. Like, it's just clarity. And I think lawyers can look at that too and sort of look it through the lenses. Can an AI do this? Then why isn't an AI doing this? And then then it's a decision at least, because you go, no, well, I love putting my head in the research and doing that. Fantastic. Just make sure everything else gets AI'd so you've got more time to do that. But then I think it's inspiring because you'll start to do the work you love. And if you do the work you love, we all know you'll be a better lawyer. Like, if you truly love the research or arguing in court, like, you're going to have more time to prepare for the cross-examination, for the human-to-human stuff that, until AI becomes our overlords, and if it's listening, be nice. But until that happens, we'll still be in court, and human judgment and justice, I think, will be a human endeavor. But
absolutely,
it's exciting times.
It absolutely is. And the thing to think about as well is, obviously, the billable, we can impact the billable. What I always recommend to our clients is think about where you're spending time that's not billable. So one of our most common use cases, we say it's probably our most boring, but it is our most universally applicable. Record every conversation that you're having with your clients if you're not doing it already. Of course, ask for permission, but pretty much every up-to-date phone has a record function. You ask their permission, it'll notify them that they're being recorded. If you're doing an online thing like we are now, same thing.
Transcript.
If you're face-to-face with the client, you can record either on your phone, or if you're using an app like ours, you can record directly into the platform. But what that does is it allows you to capture word for word what the client said, and a number of things are going to happen. So let's say it was the initial client briefing meeting. Spend an hour asking them stuff. The quality of that conversation will go up. This is what all of our clients tell us. We always recommend this, and then they go, "Oh my God, it's like this weight has been lifted and it's so much easier, but yet it's more accurate." Because otherwise what they're doing is they're multitasking. They're going,
Mhm.
"Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Client, tell me about the situation." What a client answers, they're trying to scribble down notes. They're trying to think of something intelligent to ask and trying to listen at the same time. And then they're interrupting the client, say, "Hey, would you mind repeating that? Because I can't write as fast as you can talk."
Mhm.
So the client experience is not great, but then they're also missing some of the detail. And you think you're not, like our own bias, you go, yeah, I captured everything. But you record a call, every word that was said, come back and review it later, and you'll be surprised at how much detail was also missed.
Mm.
Drop that into a platform, have the AI then do your file note instantly. 1 minute, you got your file note. Another minute, you've got your cost agreement designed the way that you want it. Obviously you're going to put in the price. The AI can help estimate it for you. A custom cost agreement, not a template that the client receives. The client goes, "Yeah, Jason didn't listen to anything I said. He's just sent me a template thing that I'm just another, sausage in his sausage factory for." No, you send them a cost agreement that's customized based on the conversation that you had. You didn't write it. The AI wrote it for you beautifully. The client's now going, "Wow, this person actually understands me. I'm going to go with them as opposed to this other guy down the street who just sent me the templated thing." I could go on and on and on, but just on that initial client brief, all the things that you can do with AI from that, instantly, right? But that's all not billable time. So the thing is, if you want to make more money, you got to remove the not billable time before you can actually bill people. Even in prep for meetings, typically, let's say a client sends a bundle through, even a single contract, right? They might send you a 50-page SPA. And you go, "All right, well, I should probably review this before my briefing meeting with the client." Half an hour, an hour. Some people are spending up to 3 hours to prepare for a 1 hour meeting, and then they don't win the work. That was all unbillable, complete waste of time, and you can't obviously legally get that time back, as in you can't bill for it. AI, upload that bundle or that contract. What do I need to know? What are the questions I should be asking in this meeting? 1 minute, you've got everything you need. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you are fully prepared, like you just spent an hour and a half deep diving on their issue. And again, the client's going, "Wow, they really understand me. They understand my situation. They're on it. They're asking me the right questions. I'm going to go with them," as opposed to going with someone else. But also you're making a lot more money because you've just removed all of this unbillable time off your plate.
Yeah. No, it's wonderful. And as I'm listening, I'm thinking back to when I was trying to train as salesman a few years ago. And I've been known, because I've done business development forever, I've been known as the least responsive because I never answer my phone. But the clients I work with know the reason I don't answer my phone is I'm always in a meeting with someone. And when I'm in a meeting with you, I'm here. I'm 100% present with you. I'm not getting distracted by calls, by emails or anything. I'm present. And I realized really young, presence builds trust. Simply looking someone in the eye, listening to their answers and actually being there, not even taking notes. And I had a young salesman because I was training a sales team and I had the script and I thought, here's the questions, here's the flow of the call. If he just follows this, he'll knock it out of the park, but he wasn't. And then I said, "Hey, can you record a call for me?" And I noticed he had a notebook in front of me. And so someone would give him the answer and he would look down and write. And there was that awkward pause because the conversation wasn't flowing. And I said to him, "Remove the notebook, hit record, hit transcribe on everything." It was only a few years ago, but transcriber was already there. And with that, the conversions went up. And I'd tell anyone, it's about, if you can give someone presence for 30 to 60 minutes, it is so unlikely that they won't go with you, because that's the first time they've shared their story. And that's probably the first time, like in legal, that's the first time they've actually been able to say it out loud. And you were there actually listening, actually being empathetic, actually being a human, because you don't have to worry because your note taker's doing the work for you. So that's a super exciting way to for people to upgrade. And I like it because you can analyze it from the sales side of things. Tell me the percentages. I like to know, am I speaking 80% to this person and they've only spoken 20? Because how can I sell something to them if I don't know them? And so I use it as a training tool to go, "Hey, on that call, what was the percentages of my talk versus their talk? And how do I improve it?" And I use it as a coach in that way. And I think, there's so many use cases for this stuff that's going to get better and better.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree. talking about sales for a second, this is an opportunity, right? There's a lot of blue ocean there at the moment for people that are thinking about implementing AI, and they might not, they got this awkward thing where they go, well, if I use AI, the client's going to think that I'm cheating, or, I'm too proud that I've done it, the manual way for so many years. That's all just BS, belief systems. But there's a big opportunity there to position yourself as progressive, forward thinking, up with the times. If you're letting the clients know, even on your website, we're an AI first law firm. We utilize technology so that we can offer you a faster, better, and cheaper service.
Yep.
What does every business want? I know obviously there's probably family lawyers and whatever, but let's not say every business, every person, we live in a capitalist society, right? Everyone wants everything faster, better, and cheaper. That will not change unless you go live in a commune in the Tibetan mountains or something like that. It's not going to change. So letting them know in your marketing and your sales that, hey, we're using AI, we don't apologize for it. It actually helps us improve the quality of what we do. It helps us in our turnaround times. And it will, depending on how you want to position it, if you're going to reduce your costs or fix it or whatever, it's letting them know that story is really compelling, and it's really refreshing, because they're going, maybe top end of town or somewhere else, and they're hearing, okay, and this guy's got like boxes of binders and stuff sitting behind his desk in a dank old brown room with little lights in it. It's like, who are they going to go with? Right? The clients are seeing AI plastered everywhere. The clients are already playing around with ChatGPT to try to do their legal work and screw it up, and then they come to you. So they're already starting to expect it. A lot.
Well, you can't Google now without AI results being the first results. So I'm like, it's as mainstream as Googling something, like, because Google itself, whenever you do a search, will give you AI results first. So everyone knows. Yeah, that's what I love, the way you've done the analogy of faster, better thing. Because I'm like, would you get someone, if you got a plumber in and he said, mate, I'm only going to use hand tools though, so it'll take me 2 weeks to finish this. And someone's like, wait, I'll get an excavator and dig the hole. I'll get it to you before midday. Who do you think the client's going to go with? And to me, it's the same as lawyers. I go, who do you think they're going to use here? Exactly.
And that's the thing. But people get, a bit too caught up in, are their clients going to judge them? It's just communication. It's what lawyers are amazing at anyway. It's figuring out the right words to communicate that to the client so they understand the value in it. But don't shy away from it, because there's a big opportunity. Barely anyone that we see are plastering on their website saying we're AI first, and this is why, this is the value for you. And letting the client know that that's a big point of differentiation for you. It's the most simple thing that you could do to win more business and win better clients too, right? You've got clients that are, they're progressive, they're thinking a bit, I won't say fast is probably not the right word, but, they're with the times. Don't shy away with it. Don't shy away from it. We are still in the early days. I mean, 2027, it's going to be, I won't say completely commoditized, but it's going to be more commoditized, where a lot more people are going to be using AI. There's going to be less advantage. It's going to be more of a necessity rather than using AI for an advantage now. Like, we've still got 2026, I see as there's a big opportunity there for people that are setting up this new way of setting up a practice like you talk about.
Well, we see it, the way me and Courtney teach people with business development is about, it's just relationship building. And as I say, if you spend more time with your client or your referral partners than the other lawyer, because they're so busy, you're going to find out things about them. You're going to find out their kid's birthday, or that their kid loves this footy team. And then you're going to have the fourth thought to go, I know what to get them as a gift, and it's going to be more personalized. And to me, that's what locks in long-term relationships, is personalization. Show me that you know me in how we transact. And that's what I tell the lawyers. So yes, once it becomes commoditized, if you've already locked in those relationships, you're still going to keep getting the work. Because if it's apples and apples and someone else is using the same AI as you, who are they going to go with? The person who knows their family, knows more things about them, actually understands them and serves them properly, or the lawyer who has the same marketing, the vernacular, but they don't know them. So it's an unknown commodity. So there's a big thing I can see, like a first to market aspect here of the firms who get there first will inevitably take a lot of market share or delve into new markets, get creative and go, oh, there's actually a whole market here that, yes, it's a lower, like what I'm charging is lower, but because it's so efficient, I can actually I can deliver more legal services to more people who ordinarily wouldn't have done it. They might have been self-represented or just, pled out or didn't proceed with their matter.
Yeah. One of the things that I recommend also is scope for opportunity. Look at all the new areas of law that are springing up left, right, and center right now. Right? I don't have the full list with me at the moment, but we've got I think it's about 13 different areas of law that are brand new, that are not saturated. They have no specialists in them. Excuse me. But to be able to go into that space and own that space right now is really, really easy. Of course, you've got to go and educate yourself and figure out what actually works when applying law to those areas. But let's say, for example, IP infringement using AI. Go and become a specialist with that. It's not even a thing yet. But what's rolling out is now you've got the ability to, I could go and take the video of this, of you, and then go and clone Lofty. Yeah. And Lofty say obscene things, which could be defamation or, whatever, right? So think about the opportunities that AI is creating as it comes through. Cybersecurity, hackings, impersonations, all this sort of stuff is going through the roof. Over the next few years, it is absolutely going through the roof, because what's happened is the cost of impersonating people, the cost of hacking people, all of this sort of stuff is dropping to zero. So what it means is it's getting in the hands of more nefarious actors who can, perpetuate what it is that you help solve. Yeah. Right? So I really think about the tech space and AI and where it's going, and all of these new areas pop up, because there will be little competition there. And you want to be the specialist, the standout. Go figure it out, write a book on it, claim the space, post on LinkedIn every day about it, and you'll win really easily. That's a fantastic spot to end, Sam. Thank you so much for coming on. By the time this is released, we'll have our special deal for the league members that we're figuring out at the moment, but exciting times, and we'll put in the show notes how people can get in touch with AI Legal Assistant to give a trial, because I strongly encourage any new law firms, whether they're in the league or not, they need to embrace this stuff. So thanks very much for coming on. You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me. It's been great.